My name is Rogelio Medina. Today I'm here to talk to you about cooking a barbecue smoked brisket. I've been a Texan all my life, and although I'm not a professional cook, I've been cooking barbecue briskets for over 6 years now. In order to truly understand how to begin to cook a barbecue brisket, you will need to know three basic steps. The first step will be picking a brisket. I know picking a brisket may seem difficult, but please don't be discouraged. According to journalist Meathead Goldwyn at www.amazingribs.com, he suggests fat is where it's at. The cut of brisket comes off the cow at the lower chest. This cut contains a lot of lean and fatty meat. The fats in this brisket will help tenderize the meat throughout the cook. The brisket cut consists of two parts, a flat and a point. The flat will be the thinner, leaner side of the brisket, as to where the point will be the fattier, um, juicier side of the brisket. This point has a lot of fat in it to be rendered down. This is why the cook is relatively long. Once you've picked your brisket, purchased it, and taken it home, you will now jump to the next step, which is the next process, which is trimming and prepping the brisket for cook. Every brisket cut will have a fat cap. This is what I consider to be the top. The fat cap can range in thickness from 1/4 inch up to an inch of fat. Ideally, you want to trim it down to 1/4 inch up to a half an inch of fat. This will ensure that the brisket gets cooked evenly and thoroughly throughout the cook. Located on the bottom of the brisket on the meat side is a fat knot. This fat knot must be removed. The fat knot will not render down throughout the cook, therefore it will increase cook time and may make it cook a little unevenly. Once you've trimmed the fat knot and your fat cap, you want to just go around the brisket and knock off any little hanging pieces of meat or hanging pieces of fat, just to make sure that it's uniform and nice and neat. Once the trimming is done, you want to proceed on prepping it. Now, prepping it consists of seasoning it for the cook. According to Aaron Franklin at www.cookingwithfranklin, less is more. He suggests a simpler rub will affect the meat more efficiently than adding tens of rub. Now, brisket rubs will vary depending on where you're at. I also suggest just the salt and pepper mix. 1 part salt, 1 part ground pepper. You want to season your brisket thoroughly on the fat top, on the fat cap, the bottom side with the meat, and all around the edge of the brisket. Once you've seasoned it thoroughly with a nice even coat, you want to set it off to the side and allow it to marinate in its season. Some people will suggest marinating it for up to 24 hours. I believe marinating it for up to 2 hours, hour to 2 hours, is sufficient enough to lock in a good flavor. Once you have your brisket prepped and trimmed and off to the side marinating, you want to move on to the next process, which will consist of the actual cook. It also has three components, which consist of fire management, cook temperature, as well as cook time. So to begin for the next step, you want to start your fire. This is going to consist of fire management. Once you start your fire in your barbecue pit, you want to start a fire off to the side, and another barbecue pit, maybe an area where you can burn coals and have them ready and hot. So when your fire in the barbecue pit starts to diminish, you can replenish with hot coals, not have to wait on starting another fire. Um, Next is cook temperature. Cook temperature is going to be really important, and you want to keep it very consistent throughout the cook. The temperature will range from 225 degrees to 250 degrees. This temperature is ideal to ensure that your brisket gets cooked slowly and thoroughly all the way through. So once you start your fire and you heat up your barbecue pit up, you heat it up to 250 degrees, maybe 225. You want to go back inside and refer to your brisket package. On the brisket package, there'll be a label which will specify the poundage of the specific brisket. According to the Pit Boys at www.pitboys.com, the rule of thumb is 1 hour of cook time per pound of brisket. So if you have a 10-pound brisket, you're going to want to cook it for 10 hours, an hour a pound. Once you have your fire temperature at the desired degrees and you have both of your fires going, one that's in the pit one that's off to the side, you want to go ahead and get your brisket and throw it on. Now, to throw on your brisket, you want to make sure that the fattier side, is towards the heat, because you want the heat to go around your brisket and leave off of the flat. So the front part is a little more fattier, has a lot more fatty tissue, and it's going to need a little more time to render down, a little more heat to render it down, make it nice and juicy and nice and tasty. Once you have your barbecue pit on the grill and started to cook, you're going to want to check it maybe every hour. But another rule of thumb, according to Aaron Franklin at cookingwithfranklin.com, if you're looking, you're not cooking. So you want to let it sit and let the fire and the marinade and the fat do what it's going to do. You're not going to have to be managing it too much. You're just going to want to let the meat cook low and slow for the whatever amount of poundage of hours you're going to have. If you have a 12 hours, you're going to cook it for 12. If you're going to have a 13-pound brisket, you want to cook it for 13 hours. That's it for the cooking process. Just remember to get that great tasting smoked barbecue flavor. You're going to need to know how to pick a brisket, how to trim and prep a brisket, as well as knowing the cook temperature, the fire management, and the cooking time required for your particular brisket. I hope this video was informative enough to give you the information to try your own brisket, and hopefully you'll be having great brisket and enjoying it in no time. Thank you very much.